know, ladies, the book on Meet My Three Friends really reintroduces women to their purpose and their passion and their power, and really reconnecting with the friendships and the energies that they have with three of these characters. And I want to talk to you like just a little bit more about what your take on your relationships with passion, purpose, and power are. So I want to hear a little more. If you had to choose one of your three friends to spend the most time with, who would it be? Would you spend the most time with purpose, passion, or power? Who would you spend more time with? Who's your favorite?
Okay. I think mine would be purpose, because I think purpose drives everything else. So for me, I feel like I know what my purpose is, but it's just hard to get there. So I feel like I also need more passion to drive my purpose home. So that's what I'm working on now, is my passion to fuel everything else that's to come.
You know, I don't like, passion took me on so many roller coasters in my life. She really had me, you know, she was the ups, the downs, the lows, the highs. She was everything. And I think if I had to spend the most time with one person, it would be Power.
Yeah.
Because Power really sets me apart. She takes me to places that I probably wouldn't go unless I had her. So what do you guys think about that? Like,
I personally would pick Power also.
Me too.
Yeah?
We just became acquainted, so we're becoming friends. So I look at it, and I have passion. I know that. I know what my passion is. I know what my purpose is. I just need to have that power, push myself forward. And I feel like because Power's in my life right now, as my friend, we're an acquaintance, but we're acquaintances, right? And we're moving to being friends. I think I want to spend more time with her.
Yeah.
More and more.
And I agree. I've always had power, and I've always had purpose and passion. They've been subtle. They've been my subtle friends. But it's power that makes it comes to fruition.
Right.
It pushes it forward. I'm able to birth it because of power. You know, so yeah, I have to agree. I spend more time with power than I do with passion and purpose.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you're spending this time with Power, like what types of things does she make you do?
So power validates. Power validates and let me know that, you know what, you can sit at the table with the kings and queens. You know, you do have a voice at the table. That's what power does for me. Because I think oftentimes with women is that we have the power. We don't exhibit the power because we think we're not educated, we're not smart enough, we don't know enough. You know, so we kind of talk ourselves out of empowering ourselves. Right? And so when she shows up, she's telling me, girl, you do have a voice at the table. You know, so she validates and she gives me that confidence to push forth my goal and my endeavors.
Even if it's like just taking a couple of steps. Because like Power will have me, you know, I have a Facebook page now for my business. Before I did, Power's like, okay, get that Facebook page together, you know, do your Instagram, you know, call people up. Before, I wouldn't even do it. The passion was there, you know, my purpose, but Power's like, hey, do it.
Power was the one that really forced you to kind of make that decision.
Yeah.
And you know what? She helps you overcome the fears that you have.
Absolutely.
And the fears aren't real. They're all in your mind, but she
true.
helps you to step over those fears and keep it moving.
Yes. And I'll just add one more thing. And yes, that's what power does. That when fear comes, when fear shows up, when he shows up, right? Fear shows up, power, she shows up and she pushes down that door. And she said, we're going through. You know, so don't let fear stop your vision. We're pushing through.
You know what's interesting about that? I feel like purpose for me led me to my power. I felt so strong in my purpose that it made me more powerful so I can get to where I needed to be. And it's in regards to, I mean, again, being a single mom, you know, you have a purpose. My purpose was they were my kids. And I had to be that strength for them, which was my power. Without my children, I wouldn't have that purpose. I would keep going through life trying to figure myself out, trying to understand who I am. But because I had my children, my purpose, it led me to the powerful person that I am now. So that's how I see it.
I agree. And you know that song, like, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver, the other's gold. I think purpose and power is what brought me
Yes.
to where I am today. But I honestly believe that passion is, for
That's
me,
right.
what's going to make who I'm going to die with. And that's
Oh
what's
my
going to
gosh.
fulfill my life, because the purpose and the power, like I said, it got me here today. But like my passion to make myself happy is how I'm going to move on after we've found success.
That's interesting. You say that. Wait. I gotta reiterate this. So you just said that passion is the one you think that you are going to die with, right? Like so you and passion clearly have a very unique relationship, right? She's the one that it seems like you spend the most time with.
No, I think like throughout life, I spent the most time with purpose, like the reason why, making the right choices, power, like developing who I am in myself to become the best that I could be, you know, whether it was I failed and I got better. But now I think like passion, like living for me and becoming me, like, you know, and really finding the happiness. So that's how I look at passion in your book.
So why do you think it's so hard for women to really break through brokenness, right? We talk about this concept of following our passions and surrendering to our purpose and harnessing our power. And it seems like the majority of you guys love power. Like she's the boss chick, right? She's the one that makes sure that we do the things that we want to do, right? But why is it so hard, do you think it is for women to fight through brokenness? What does that really mean? Like,
You know,
why?
I think part of it is that we become comfortable, not in a good way, with where we are. We become complacent. We become comfortable, you know. And once we step outside, we feel like, and we kind of go back to being broken again in some respects. So I think it's a level of comfort we have with being broken.
Absolutely, it's
That's
a
what I
comfort
think.
zone.
But I also-
Even though it may
it's
be
being-
bad and
yeah.
painful, we still go right back
But you know what
there.
I also feel too is that our lives are so filled, very similar to our conversation, but our lives are filled with being on the go all the time. We don't have time to heal the brokenness. So what we do is we patch it up and then we keep moving forward. And we have no time to say to ourselves, you know what? Let me worry about me. Let me fix what's broken. Let me heal that process and then go to the next step. We have no time for that.
No.
So we have to be
Going
these
on.
strong
Yeah.
individual women to say, we just got to keep moving forward. We have no time for that. We'll worry about that later. We have to take care of our kids. We have to take care of our business. We have to move forward. We have no time to think about us until all that is gone and we're sitting in a room by ourselves.
Right.
We say to ourselves,
Right.
what's going on?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And so how I look at that when we're talking about self-love is that part of the self-love exercise is that you have to block out the noise.
Yeah.
The noise of the kids, the noise of the job, the noise of the education, or whatever the
Your
noise
significant other,
is
whatever.
for you in
Right.
your life. You gotta set aside time to be quiet, so that you can hear when passion and purpose want to speak to you. That you can hear them because they can get drowned out. You know, and I think a lot of women don't live within their passion and purpose because we have so much noise in our lives. And until we find that quiet space where we can allow them to speak to us, we'll never get there.
What do you think, but what do you guys think about the dynamic relationship we have between the three characters? Like, are we really friends with passion? Are we really friends with purpose and power? Like, what does that look like? Are we really their friends? Do we really welcome them into our
not.
life?
I think the hardest part is really embracing it. Really identifying that it's okay to have a purpose. It's okay to be passionate about something. It's okay to have that power because that's your survival. That's what gets you to where you need to do.
Yeah.
We're so afraid of it because we're so we confront who we are. We become these three areas of who we are, and all of a sudden we're confronted by people who disagree with it.
Yeah.
Maybe it has a lot to do with the fact that we are women, because if we were anything else, everyone would be accepting of it. But the fact that we are women, all of a sudden, we can't embrace all those three factors. We can't be one person one day and another person another day. We have to be just one way all the time. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. But we have so many competing dynamics in our life, right? We got family, we got husbands, we got children, we got work. How do we follow our passions and our purpose when we're dealing with so many competing priorities? Like how do we do that?
I think it goes back to what they were saying before about just having to be quiet, so you can hear those friends are always talking to you. Passion's always talking to you. Power's always talking to you. They're always talking to you.
Yeah.
You have to hear it though. You have to hear it. Like for me, my passion is interior design. Like I've known that since I was like 8 or 9 years old. I've known that, and I didn't take the steps I should have taken before to embrace it because I couldn't hear, purpose or passion talking. And then I finally heard them, and now Power and I are becoming acquainted, and now I'm taking those steps to move, myself forward.
Yeah.
I had to be quiet to hear it, 'cause otherwise, I would still be wanting to be in interior design, but just not doing it or anything with it at all.
Yeah.
That's just.
And what I found with purpose, particularly with purpose, is that when she's taking a dominant role, because I really believe that all three of them, although they all have very distinct roles, they all need each other, right? I don't think that you can have the power without the purpose and the passion and so forth. So, but they kind of play different roles and who's dominant at different times. But I think when purpose is taking that dominant role and identifying what my purpose is, I think when she's really speaking and she's speaking truth, everything comes easy. I don't have to force it to happen. It just comes easy because she's coached me through it. So my thing is, my mantra is that if I have to force something to happen, then it's not to be. Doesn't mean that it'll never be. It's just not to be at this time. Because if I'm truly walking within my purpose, then that's an easy transition. Resources come into my life that I need, people that I need to make this to come to fruition. It's just there, It's just an easy transition. If I gotta force this thing to happen, then I'm really not walking within my purpose.
And
That's what I believe.
you said something very interesting, because in the book I talk about it's not necessarily about really following your purpose or finding your purpose. It's about surrendering to it, right? Why is it so difficult for us as women to follow or surrender to our purpose? Why is it so hard?
I think sometimes we feel guilty.
Oh my gosh.
Being
Especially
being
guilty number one.
Yeah, because you're raising kids, and so for you to step into your purpose and to go for your dreams, you're sacrificing something. It doesn't matter. So you're sacrificing being a parent, that that quality time, being there for your kids. There's something that's being sacrificed, and that's uncomfortable for us as a mother, being nurturers and everything. That it's a strong battle that we deal with, and it's not easy at all.
And we may not have the support.
Exactly.
To support us in moving forward, I think even coming together as women and talking about certain things and sharing to find out that we do have something in common. We do have a common denominator. You can create that support team. And a lot of us don't have that. We don't have time to cultivate any more relationships than we already have. So now to cultivate another support team or a team that can support us in our endeavor is hard.
Well, those of you who are raising men children, you bring up a very good point, right? If you are raising men children, to what extent does your power play into that phenomenon in order to be able to raise that man child, right? You want to raise him to be a king. You want to raise him to be the best man that he can be for the woman, right? That he would eventually be with. So how does that play into it? You being a powerful force in your homes and in your families, like what does that look like? How is it that you raise a man child? I don't know. I have a girl. I don't know.
Yeah.
Help me. How are we raising these man children?
I have 2 boys, and I can honestly tell you, I think that the hardest part is playing a mom and a dad, and creating that power to balance itself out. Because the reality is, when you're raising 2 boys to be men, you have to create standards as a woman, and then you have to create standards as a man. You have to say, okay, you know what? As a man, I expect you to be X, Y, and Z. But to value a woman and to have a woman respect you, I need X, Y, and Z. So I have to be half and half of both. And the problem with that is really taking that power and stepping back and understanding what's the real purpose. And this is why I say to myself, I'm probably purpose and power, because it's always forward and stepping back. I have to understand what my purpose is in raising my 2 boys and what my power is in order to get them there.
Wow. Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Now, T, you got 2 boys.
Yeah,
Right.
And, and so I, so
what does that look like?
Yeah, I'm right with you on that. Is that so? I am the only female in my household. Even the dog is a male.
High five that,
So definitely a very strong female in the household. And so when I'm raising my boys, consciously and unconsciously what they see is a strong woman in the household, right? So knowing that, I'm also trying to teach them also from a woman's perspective.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're constantly
Create that
having
softness.
conversation about women's needs and being their protector, and their provider, by allowing them to still be that strong woman, not to be threatened or insecure by it. And thank God my husband is not insecure by it. So I think, I like to think we have a good balance. You know, they see the strong woman, they see how their father's handling the strong woman, but I'm also giving them a woman's perspective and how a woman should be treated.
See, now that's a different dynamic. So me, I'm a single mother and I'm divorced. So there is no male role in that house to see that. So you having a husband that still respects you being strong, your boys see that.
Yeah.
Now when having a boy growing up in a single parent home with their mother, they don't see that. So they may just see somebody strong, but not seeing that a man can respect you at the same time being a strong woman. So that, I think that is, that's a huge
Different
balancing.
dynamic.
Yeah, it's a huge balancing act. And as a mother, I had to humble myself to realize I can't just be everything. Like I can't show my son how to be a man. Yeah, I can guide him and I can show him so he can understand that, but I'm still not a male that he could,
Like who teaches them
take
how to
notes.
shave?
Yeah,
I can show them how to shave my legs, but that's about it.
Here's what I have to say about that. Here's what I have to say about that. Is that although there may not be a man in the house, there's still men around it that can influence your male child, right? And so I think the greatest gift, personally, I think, is showing them and teaching them how to treat a woman.
Absolutely.
You know, because they're going to get that influence in how to be a man. You know, rather they're in an after-school program or there's an uncle or grandfather. You know, they're going to get that influence elsewhere. But not every man gets to know from a woman's perspective. And when you can teach your male child, your man child, a woman's perspective, I think we're giving them the greater.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We're giving them the greater gift.
You know what? I want to piggyback off of that because it's so interesting, right? I think the rest of us are raising female childs, right? Or women. And I think the important dynamic, I'm married for almost 18 years. And I always used to tell my husband that he is my daughter's first boyfriend.
Yeah.
Right? He is responsible for teaching my daughter what it means for a man or how a man should treat her based on the way he treats her. And I think the important dynamic is that we learn through experience. Experience is the great teacher. Our children emulate what we do, how we do it, what we say. I even found my daughter repeating a lot of the things that I used to say, like, oh my gosh, my husband don't buy me flowers. What? She'd be like, Daddy, why you don't buy me flowers, right? Like, I found this to be true, that our children emulate and or we set expectations, even though they may be false, for our children. We set these expectations of what love looks like and how we should be treated. And in terms of them growing up and them becoming young adults and assessing what passion and purpose and power looks like, particularly when they go into relationships. We talked about this earlier. When they go into relationships, are we setting a false expectation of what that looks like? I don't know. Am I giving my daughter a false perception of what that looks like? I don't know. Probably not. Those of us who have girls.
I don't know. I kind of
I don't
feel like
know.
you're just building a roadmap for what she should better herself for.
Yeah.
And her
At the-
Standards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
creating
To
a
the best
platform.
of your ability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to the best of my
Because no
ability.
matter what, she's still gonna do whatever she's gonna do outside,
Right.
outside of
And
your
that's
house.
going to be her
Yeah.
learning experience.
So part of it is based on what you've shown her.
Yeah.
The other part is based on what she thinks she sees outside in society.
What she's learning.
Kind of
Yeah,
put
and
that
exactly.
together.
She's gonna put those together. That's who she's
What's
gonna
good
be.
for her.
Right. Exactly.
But-
a lot of times, a lot of girls don't have strong women to look up to. Like I'm a teacher, so I teach high school students, and I have a lot of females in my classes that don't understand you can't walk around with a half a shirt on.
Yeah.
That's not cute. Like
Yeah.
that's not respectful. That's not who you want to present to.
I have a son and I have a daughter, and I also coach a bunch of children in cheerleading ages 5 to 18. And I think the biggest thing when it comes to, I say to children, what are your expectations? It's like you have a plant, right? You get a seed. You put the seed into the ground and you say, I don't hope that I grow a flower. You put the seed into the ground, you water it, and you expect. So whether what I'm teaching, like whether it be to a male boy or a female, like you have your expectations, you have what your desires, what your dreams are. So you water it. You get what I'm saying? You don't just say I hope it grows. No, you expect it to grow. But you expect it to grow because you watered it.
Right.
And I have a son, like I said, I have a daughter, and I'm a little old fashioned. And I teach my son how to do what the women's roles were, what the men's roles are. And I come home ever since he was like 4 years old. I come, he'll help me get the bags out the car. And he knows how to wash clothes and he knows how to wash dishes. But I also teach him like there are roles that like a woman and I could be wrong, but a woman is supposed to do, I mean, if you are doing A, B, and C, there are some roles that should be expected of women.
I think it's you could I think you can also utilize as just being a gentleman, just understanding. I mean, I think what we're teaching our men and we're teaching our female daughters is that there's a balance. You have to give in order to receive. And if you're just expecting to get all the time, you're being unrealistic in any relationship. And that's just in a friendship, in a relationship, whatever you're in. If you're giving all the time and you're not receiving, then you're not filling your cup up. So you have to always understand what you're doing. It's not being old-fashioned. It's just kind of creating that balance. That what, I'm gonna, as a male, as a female, I'm gonna give, but in return, this is what I would like to get back. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it has to do with being a man or a woman. It just has to do with creating a balance in any relationship you have.
And so recently, what I started with my sons that are 21 now, I started last month, and at the end of the month, I said to them, both of them, I text them, because that's how they like to communicate, right? I text them, and I said, what did you do for someone else this month?
That's a good one.
What did you do for
That's a
someone
good
else
one.
this month?
Oh my gosh.
And it came back.
What did you do this? What did you do for somebody else this month?
June, nothing. They couldn't recall, even though I knew they had done something for someone, but I wanted them to tell me.
Yeah.
So we went out to dinner just a few days ago, and I was explaining that to them that every month, at the end of the month, I'm going to ask you, what did you do for someone else? Because you need not to be so self-centered. I don't want you to be the kind of man that just expects all the time. You have to learn how to give back. You have to. And I truly believe that you're blessed when you do give back. So they need to start being more conscious and aware of what they do for others. So that's my new exercise. So we'll see.
Oh my gosh,
I'm glad you
love
shared
that exercise. I'm gonna have Nala
What
do
did
that.
you do for someone else? And I don't even care if it's one thing.
Yeah.
But let that one thing be meaningful and purposeful and count. Let that be something special.
You know what? I love that. I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna have Nala do that. Well, I am about to throw the pink elephant in the room. Like I'm really about to throw it out there because You know,
Do we need another drink for this?
you might need another drink. You might need another drink for this. Because, and I say that because when I think about doing things like that, Nala and I would do at the beginning of every month, we have something, we go out to a restaurant, we give $100 tip. Doesn't matter if the service was $3, $4, $5, we give $100. Does not matter. However, when I think about this concept of purpose, passion, and power, I'm very selfish. Very selfish. When it comes to walking or following my passions and surrendering to purpose and harnessing power, it's for me, right? When the gift is giving it out to the world. And I think one of the hardest things for us to do is to make ourselves vulnerable enough to give it to someone else as a gift. So in the book, I share about the journey, right, of dealing with molestation because I feel like it will help someone else, help another girl, right? Growing up in a city that was crumbling, right? And I feel like, my rise to the top and, starting my own businesses and getting degrees, right? Has nothing to do with it. But I share this story because I feel like it will help somebody else. But I am very selfish with my passions. Very, very selfish. And I always make sure I make time for me to accomplish those things. And if we're talking about ensuring that those around us get an opportunity to do that, but we don't do that, what are we saying? I don't get, we pour into our children. We have these expectations that they do. What have you done for somebody else? But when was the last time we said we actually have done something for ourselves?
Yeah.
When was the last time we had that conversation with ourselves?
And I think that's something we don't do well.
We don't.
We don't do that very well. We're always giving and pouring and providing and protecting and nurturing. And
yes.
We're constantly in motion. Yeah, we're constantly in motion.
I think I've got
When was the last thing you done for yourself?
I can't think of it honestly, but I can think of a million things that I've done for myself and for my family. But I always put myself on the back burner.
Yeah.
When was the last time you done something for yourself?
I don't.
What?
But then that's where I think that's where you need to meet your friend passion. Yeah.
When was the last
I'm
time?
like a kid.
Tell me.
So I am now on this new journey of self-love, right?
Okay.
And so one of the things that I have recently done, this is my morning ritual. Now, this is just for me. It may not work for everyone else.
Okay.
But when I wake up in the morning, I don't open my eyes. I make sure I do not open my eyes. I'm up.
Oh my
I'm
God.
ready to open my eyes and start my day. But I don't open my eyes because if I do, that means, hey, it's on and popping. The day is starting out and so on. So I keep my eyes closed. And while my eyes are closed, I am in a state of unclutter and chaos and everything else that comes with it. And that is my time to just be quiet. Because once I open my eyes till I close my eyes at the end of the night, it is on. It's noise. It's motion. But I take that few minutes to just, while it's still clear and unclutter, to just be quiet, to listen to my breath, to just allow passion, purpose, and power to speak to me if they want to speak. And I give them that time and space to do it. And I'm going to tell you, it's been phenomenal. I mean, the things that has just listening to the inner voice,
You just
listening
called my
to
bluff.
the spirit, to the universe, whatever you want to call it. But you have to give it its space to speak to you. I really don't know how one is able to operate within power, purpose, and passion and not be quiet, to hear from them. You got to hear from the girlfriends.
Yeah.
But you know what I find interesting about that is that you say you're at this place, but at some point in your life, something had to be your technically rock bottom, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that she went through some crazy thing in her life, but at some point in your life, you had to tell yourself, I just can't do this anymore. This is not where I want to be anymore. And I think that's the point where you started to really say, it has to be about me. Because if it's not about me, I can't move forward anymore. And I think that we talk about, like you're talking about, well, I never really thought about myself. I really never thought about myself because you haven't hit that moment. And I think we all come to that point in our lives where you say, this is not enough for me.
Yeah.
And then you say to yourself, you know what? I have to think about me.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, like, for me, when you say your sense, I mean, I've reached my point to really finding myself. It came to a point, well, a little backstory of me. Last year, I actually got hit by a car. So I literally,
What?
yeah.
Like hit by a car?
Yeah, like metal plates in
Like
my
with a
arm,
wheel
broken
car? The
rib.
car was driving down the
Yes.
road? Boom, hit
I was
you.
waiting for the bus, and then I woke up in the middle of the street, and I was, you know, so
Oh my God.
that experience, it's funny because I went through this whole 1 year, and a lot of things happened during that year. You know, I changed my whole life around. That was my rock bottom. The fact that I came to a point where my kids would have never had a mom. At that split moment, I didn't know the car hit me. I didn't even see it coming. It just, I was waiting for the bus, and then I woke up on the floor. And I was in the hospital, and they're doing surgery, and they're going through all this stuff. So that was my rock bottom. At that point in my life, I had to say, you know what? Right now, you know, I do personal training. I'm training others. I'm influencing other people. I'm encouraging and improving physical.
Yeah.
But the challenge right now is I became my own client. I sat there to myself and I said, you know what? It's not about me looking physically great. I have to help myself internally. I have to really figure out what I need. What is my purpose now? What my purpose was before the accident was very different from what it is now. And then I had to find the power within myself to get me to that passion.
But do you think the accident caused you to just be still for a minute and kind of put things really
Well, yeah, I
in
didn't move for like
perspective?
20 minutes.
Right. No, but it also gave an opportunity to put things in perspective and what's really important.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Like my
Yeah.
whole life
Yeah.
changed, and after, you know, I went through a lot of, you know, recovery, but what I really focused on was really trying to find out. I looked at every aspect of my life. I looked at the relationship I was in. I looked at me, where I was in my career. I looked at where my kids were and what I needed for them. And all those things changed in less than a year. I was like, this relationship is not good for me anymore. I want more out of my life. My biggest thing is I want to travel. I was like, that's it. You know, just in, I would say the 28th of June, I made a spontaneous trip to go to Mexico. I was scared to death. I was like, oh my God, did I just do that? Oh, is this good? Am I gonna pay my bills? Is that, like, I was frantic, but it's all about really, I feel like you gotta get to a point in your life where you just hit that moment where you're just like, I gotta put the brakes on because this is not where I wanna be.
You guys are killing me because you guys are killing me because I'm thinking about this character Power, right? And the role she plays in our life to get where we want to be or ultimately become who we want to be. I'm really curious to know about the relationships that we have with power and passion and purpose as it relates to the relationships that we find ourselves in, right? So your relationships with a female, okay? So let's say we're friends. We are friends because I love you.
Yeah.
Fred, your relationships with the friends in your life, how much impact or influence do they have over your ability to accomplish these things, to walk in your purpose, follow passion, and harness your power? Or do they have an impact or influence at all?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
I don't know. Think about the men in your life, right? Your children, your girlfriends. Do they impact your passions and your power and your purpose?
I think they do. I think who you have around you, like who's in your circle, to give you that passion. Like, for instance, you are that person in my life. I always tell you, like, you are a powerhouse. And you're extremely, like, inspiring and motivating. Like, we have our times when we're up to 3 o'clock in the morning and we're talking and you're helping me with the budget. So you are that person for me that is, like, you do drive that passion in me to pursue my purpose. So I definitely agree. And I think it's important who you keep around you.
And sometimes my kids are grown, so she'll be 27. The oldest will be 27 next month. The other one is 24. She just turned 24. And my 27-year-old, she reminds me of Tamara. She is such, like, she's like my rock. You know, whenever I have an issue, I go, Lexi, you know what, blah, blah, blah. And she'll text me back. I'm like, oh my God, you're awesome. You know, it's like, you need those people in your life. Absolutely. I can't go to my parents about it. My mama couldn't go to her about it. But people who are going to be in your corner, and sometimes it's not your significant other. Because, yeah, that person may be the person that's like, oh, that's crap, or you're like, okay. So you have to, if you want to continue to pursue that, that life or your dreams, you have to find people who are going to be supportive of you.
Yeah.
And for me, it's Tamara, it's one of my other friends that I have, Margarita, it's my daughter Lexi. It's people like that. You have to have them in your life. You have to.
Oh my God.
I got
Wait, I was waiting for you.
Wait. So we were talking about earlier. I've been married for 27 years, right? And so when you're in a relationship, there are roles and expectations. And I was just kind of thinking about what are some of the barriers that can prevent women from moving forward with their purpose and their passion. And I think sometimes the role and expectation that they're in causes them not to move forward. Because if you have a partner, that's supposed to be your number one cheerleader, right?
Yeah, or
But
should
if you
be.
have a partner that is not supporting you in your power and your passion, then you're going to put that on the back burner. And it's unfortunate because there is power in your passion and your purpose. You become the change agent. You can make a difference. But if you don't get to exhibit that, if you don't get to do that because your number one cheerleader is not cheering you on, then it just becomes
And
a
then
dead.
sometimes
It
you have to,
become a
like,
dead vision.
Kind of get not hear what they're saying. Right?
Yeah,
You
but
ignore
then
them.
you're opening up a Pandora
I don't
box.
have a significant other, so
Right. So if you choose not to do that,
that makes a
then
difference for me.
right, then you're bringing in some other stuff, and because now you got to deal with that.
Yeah.
Because your cheerleader and provider or whatever is not supporting you. It's hard. It's hard.
Very
In my relationship, thank God my husband was not threatened or insecure by my passion. I started a nonprofit organization 17 years ago. And I even remember going to him thinking, do you want to be a part of the board? He was like, no, because he thought it was a little hobby. And maybe at the time it was a hobby for me too, because there was a crossroad at one point. It's like, okay, this is for real. Is this a hobby or is this really a business, right? So, but he chose to say, no, I'm not going to be involved. 17 years later, I have more accolades and awards on my walls than I have wall space, to accommodate them. But my point is that if he was a partner that didn't support me and was constantly, running a business, starting a business, running a business, I have 3 more friends I add to my party besides passion, purpose, and power, and that's blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Blood, sweat, and tears. And in order to sustain that vision and that purpose, you got blood, sweat, and tears got to show up.
Yes, that's right.
And they I don't call them my game busters, but those are my girl busters.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we're either going to make this work or we're not. It's not.
That's
Blood,
right.
sweat, and tears determines that. But my point is this, is that it's hard. And if you don't have that support, whether you find it outside of a relationship or in your relationship, I don't know.
And when I sit here and I'm listening to both of you, and we talked earlier, and you keep using the word cheerleader, and I think sometimes that's what we want the cheerleader. But as I listen, I think sometimes besides the cheerleader, we want the teammate, because the cheerleader cheers us on and supports us, but the teammate wants us both to win.
That's
like
right.
what's in it for us, and not what's in it
Wait,
for the other.
say that one more time.
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
The
The
cheerleader supports us, cheers us on, which we think is great.
Yeah.
But the teammate, we work together
Has
and we
your
have
back.
the same
Vision.
Yeah.
to win. And so it's like we need the cheerleader, but in the end we need
The teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Oh
that.
my gosh.
I really like that.
That's good.
Oh my gosh, I love that concept that we need, or I would say we need, or we want the cheerleaders, but we need the teammate. Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Yes, that's good.
That was.
I don't know, I think I share a different perspective when it comes to relationships and following your passion, right? Pursuing purpose and then ultimately following power when it comes to relationships. And, I've been down this road for 18 years, right? And in looking at my relationship and looking at the place that I was when I first got married and the place that I am today, I'm 2 totally different people. And they kind of shaped my perspective on what I feel like a teammate is, or what my cheerleaders should look like, right? So, do I really want my husband to be a teammate, or do I want him to be a cheerleader? I think that's important. And I say that because as we bring people into our lives, we have to know and understand what positions we want them to play. Not just what we want them to play, but what position should we need them to play, right? Because everybody's not a cheerleader.
No.
Everybody that you bring into your life is not supposed to be a teammate, but maybe they're a good cheerleader, right? And vice versa. And I think as women, we kind of get it a little twisted. So we're playing basketball, right? And we're not sure who to put in what position. And I think that's where we make mistakes. Like, that is our downfall. Not knowing, not knowing who to put in what position.
But here's a bigger one, I think.
Like,
And I think that, so we're going to use the analogy
Yeah.
of the cheerleader and the teammate.
yeah,
I think oftentimes as women,
yeah.
we don't even want you to be the coach.
Yes!
It's like,
Yes.
so to have those women in our lives, which is essential,
Oh,
right? Because they're going to help you to think it critically. They're going to give you
Yes.
the tough love.
Yeah.
They're going to, they're going to challenge you.
Yeah.
I think sometimes as women, we're like, okay, I'll welcome the cheerleader and I'll welcome the teammate. But you, Dr. T, cannot be the coach in my life.
Yeah, yeah.
But we need the coach.
But it gets even better.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just want to be all three.
Yeah.
We want to
Oh,
support
yeah.
ourselves,
Oh, my
we want to
God.
cheer ourselves, and we want to control everything that's going on.
It's true. Very true. Sometimes you have somebody you think is a cheerleader, and then like I mentioned that earlier,
yeah.
and that person you think is a cheerleader, all of a sudden they see that you're still interested in whatever this thing is. They're saying things that are negative or disrespectful about this thing that you call a passion.
Yeah.
And they can actually kind of mess you up a little bit.
Yeah.
They can kind of slow
Yeah.
you down because you will look into this person to support you
Those are
and
the
cheer
fans.
you on.
Or
Those
take,
are fans.
or take
Those are
fans.
fans. Those are fans.
But you're thinking in your life this person
Yes.
is more significant
Yes.
than that, and then they
You
start
are
all of a
cheerleader
sudden they have a different perspective. The way they see you, I guess, changed. I don't know.
And could possibly take you off course.
Right, exactly.
With
So
it, yeah.
and then you
Lose the
initially
game.
this person was
Absolutely.
supporting
It'll
you
make
and
you
helping
lose
you
the
along,
game.
then all of a sudden they're saying like disrespectful things about what you're interested in, and then you're like, oh my god. And then but there has to be something about you, whether it's a strong core or whatever, that tells you don't get off course.
Yeah.
And that's the passion.
But no,
Right.
so honestly, no, I don't think it's just the passion. I think it's all three.
It's all
So that you
three,
don't fall
yes,
off track.
yes,
Because I think if you have all three, regardless of who enters your life, will not steer you in the direction that you don't want to go.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest part is keeping all those girls together
Yeah.
and saying to yourself, I'm cool how you are, because I know who I am.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's the biggest part. And again, I don't think it just happens. I think it's always, and again, I always say this, it's always a journey. It's really getting to the point of your life, like you said, kind of soul searching and knowing where you are, where you want to be, and kind of having those three women in your life and saying, you know what, I'm okay with whoever anybody else is because I already know who I am. And I think that's the biggest thing.
Well, guys, we gals, we have brought this conversation full circle in terms of talking about, what is our passion points, and who do we spend the most time with throughout the course of the day. And I spend the most time with Power. She's the one I call on every single day, right? She's the one that kind of gets me up in the morning and says, no, this is what you need to accomplish today, and I'm going to help you do it, right? So I spend the most time with Power each and every day. And then we kind of talked about this whole concept of purpose, passion, and power in the context of our relationships, right? And our children, and who we see or think they should be, and how we groom and shape them to be the best that they can be. My final question tonight for you is, I want to know, if this was your last day on earth, who would you want to spend it with? Would you want to spend it with your friend Passion, who's the giddy-go-lucky girl, right? Or would you want to spend it with Purpose, who's that cool, calm, and collected chick, right? She's the one that provides you with balance. Or would you want to spend it with Power? Power is the one that's the live rocket. Who would you want to spend your last day with?
Well, I'll say this.
Y'all like, oh, wait a minute. I ain't ready yet for my last day. I'm not ready for my last day. Wait a minute.
Yeah, let me think about this one.
Wait a minute. The last day, wait.
I'm like, realistically, if it was my last day, power got me to where I was. So I think I would go for passion. Because at the end of the day, I'm tired of being so powerful.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of take a step back and just love where I'm at, love what I'm doing, and really enjoy the moment, embrace my last day, embrace my last moment, and not have to be the pillar of my life anymore, and kind of like step back and enjoy it.
I would agree.
I like that one.
I would agree with that. Absolutely. Wholeheartedly. Yes.
Thank you for
Passion
speaking
so
for
much.
me. Thank you.
Okay, wait. So
Passion has I agree with her. I agree. I
Yeah.
would want to spend my last day with passion.
Yes.
Really?
I can see passion just like, laying in the hospital bed with me. Just talking to me.
We're snuggling on
It's
a
my
blanket.
visual.
Yes.
Just like laying next to me, Angela, you know what?
You got
I'm just
this.
like, passion. And like we just had this wonderful, and next thing you know, it was gone, but it was peaceful,
Yep.
and passion was there, and that's how I see it.
Oh my God! Wait,
Yes.
I'm gonna share my last. Who you was?
I would go, I agree and say passion, power. Sometimes you want to take a back seat and you don't want to always be in control. So yeah, you do. I agree. She's just too powerful.
hyper.
Sometimes, you just want to
You gotta talk
be
to yourself
calm
and say, slow
and you want
down.
to be at peace.
Yeah.
I would go with passion.
You would go passion.
I would definitely go with passion.
Okay, who you gonna spend your last night with?
When we started, I did say passion, but as we end today, I'm gonna say thank you to purpose.
Purpose.
Because I think at the end of the day, we become who we are, and we evolve. We find our happiness through the purpose of life. We are who we are today.
Yeah.
So I think if it was my last day, I truly would say thank you to purpose, because if I didn't have the purpose, I wouldn't have been powerful to get to what I needed, do what I needed to do to get here. And if I didn't have the purpose, I guess I wouldn't have had the passion. Passion makes us happy, but at the last day, who am I thankful for? And I'm gonna say thank you
I like
to
that.
purpose.
I like that.
Oh my gosh! I hate you right now.
I know. I like that.
Just
I thought
joking.
I knew.
Oh my gosh!
I've been listening to you ladies, but I so agree. Powerful has always been in the forefront. She's been the most dominant.
Yes.
She's pushed down fear, pushed through the doors. We got it done. We made things happen. So I'm thankful for power. I'm thankful for power. But at the end of the day, if it's my last day, I think I would have to go with passion. I truly want to be passionate and to live within my passion. Because if I live within my passion, I know purpose is right there. She's the ride and die girl. She's gonna hang with passion. Purpose can't move forward without passion, but passion needs purpose to move forward. So I need passion.
And purpose can't move forward because it's your last day. So.
It's my last day.
Purpose is done. Purpose is done. She did her job.
She did her job. So I need passion. I need passion, and I need to be together.
I need to say thank you.
She's like, thank you. I'm saying,
And thankful for power.
but you know what? I feel like your power, and your power just lets you enjoy it. And that's the passion.
All right.
We already know your power. Let's go.
Power can do for you on your last day.
There's no power. You're laying in the bed.
I gotta tell you, if it is my last day,
Yes.
it would have to be power.
Really?
Yes, I would take that. Power is the last chick I'm hanging out with. You wanna know why?
Yeah.
Because power gonna get me up, because it's not my last day.
Okay.
Power gonna be like,
Hell no, I'm not going
no,
now.
power gonna be like, it ain't over. Get up, girl. You got more
She's
work
like,
to do.
I gotta write another book. Let's
Get
get
up,
this done.
get up, girl. You got more stuff to do. It ain't over yet. Get up.
Yeah.
That's power for me.
Yeah.
So each and every day while I follow passion, because she's the one that really keeps me up at night. She's the one that keeps me going. She's the one, like last night I was up to 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why. I have no idea. It was passion.
I don't
She
know
was
either. With all this energy you have, I
Jesus
just don't understand.
She was like whispering in my ear. She was telling me all kind of crazy stuff. I'm like, passion, shut up. I gotta go to sleep. I love passion because she's so dear and near to my heart, right? She's that girl. She's been with me since forever, since I can remember, right? Passion has been with me. It wasn't until I developed a relationship with purpose that I began to really appreciate what it was or is that I am supposed to be doing in life. So I began to really appreciate the gift that purpose gave to me, to be able to sow seeds into women like you and you and you and you and you, women all over the world. But it was power. It was power that really captivated my spirit and my essence. I strive to be her every single day. So when I'm weak, I call on power. When I can't stand in front of a crowd, I call on power. When I can't complete a task, I call on power. When I don't feel like it, I call on power. When I'm fighting with my husband, I call on power. Like I'm about to plead the blood of Jesus on you, I call on power. When I can't get through something, it is power that gets me through my 24/7.
Wow.
It's not purpose and it's not passion. So when I'm trying to dig deep into something, whether I'm delivering a message or completing a book or completing another degree, it's power. She's the one that gets me through all of those things. So if I had to die, my last day on earth, it would be spent with power because she's gonna raise me up. She'd be like, no, it ain't time. Get up. Girl. You know, it's up.
She's like, we got 3 more days.
We got 3 more days. We got 3. She give me hope. Like, it ain't time yet. You got 3 more days. Get it together. Get your life right. Right? Ladies, I thank you. And I appreciate you.
We thank
Thank
you.
you.
For
Appreciate
sharing.
you too.
A little bit of yourselves and your perspectives and your experiences about this concept and the characters we call purpose, passion, and power in this book, that it may sow seeds into women who look, breathe, eat, sleep, build relationships like we do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.